I would love to know if that law is still on. If we could find a way, because I'd love to challenge that myself. So I just thought that was just very interesting about the Nutley Pleasure Park, and a little interesting bit about Nutley history.
Okay, so this is where it ends. This is the Irvington Loop, and it's, we identified this. We have a couple pictures. We had trouble. We thought it was a Nutley picture, but it's actually the other end of the line up in Irvington. And we know this is a later picture because we're going to get into what's happening next as we look at the, right there's an ad on the front, and it's talking about the trolley being replaced by a newer vehicle, and we're going to go into that next. So a lot of the pictures we have those advertisements on them, so we know that the photographers were rushing around to get pictures when they heard that the trolleys were going to be taken offline. And Wilma Gander talks from Gander's Hardware Store, for the really old timers here. She's still around. I was talking to her. She actually would take the trolley from Nutley to her aunt that was up there in Irvington, and she would get off at this loop to save another transfer fee, so she would walk another 10 or 15 blocks in Irvington, which was very walkable back in those days. And that's her story. Margaret Peters, one of my neighbors, used to get on Center Street and go down to Newark with her mom to go shopping. A lot of people did go to the Newark stores to go shopping. We're going to show a few of those. And Biondi, I forget Biondi's first name, he's 99 now, 100 years old. Jimmy Biondi, he talks about walking from Bloomfield and Center down to Big Tree to save 2 cents, and then getting on the trolley and going to the theaters down in Newark, or going over to the amusement park in Irvington. So there's still people around that we're finding. If you know of any, hook them up with us so we can get their story, because they're all going to be in their 90s now. So we want to get their pictures and their stories. And then just going, this is downtown Newark, just to show where the line went, to give you an understanding. So this is down through Newark, on shopping down there.
Probably Broad Street. Yeah.
And this is one we just found. It was in the barber shop on Center Street, where I've been going there for years, never saw the picture until the other day. So this is actually in Bloomfield. This is Bloomfield Avenue. This is the 29 line that goes from Bloomfield up to Caldwell. And we just put this in there because we thought it was interesting to show the car interaction that we're already starting to see. This is, right near the end of when these trolleys stopped running, and we could see part of the issue was motor vehicles, was cars and trucks, ramming into the trolleys, running people over as they're getting off the trolleys, running across the track, parking on the track, and it just became very difficult for the trolleys to keep their schedule because of all the interaction with cars. And then this is what we went to next. This is the all-service vehicle, all-purpose vehicle, trolley bus. They had a few different names, but this was a hybrid. And this was developed, this started in 1937 in Nutley. It's when they switched over from the electric trolleys. So this is electric with the poles on top, and it's got a gas engine inside it, gasoline engine. And this would follow the tracks, but it didn't have to stay on the tracks because it had rubber tires. So the beauty of this was it could move over to the curb and discharge people on the curb out of traffic so they wouldn't get hit by cars. And then if they got to the end of the route and they needed to go a little further because there's new development, they could turn the gasoline engine on and continue on past the end of the trolley and move further on. These only were around for about 10 years. And then we went to diesel buses. So this is they had a big party here in Nutley on that day. You get a free ride, and they were allowing people to get on these trolley buses and take them around through town here and get to know them. They were more comfortable. They had nice seats. They were air conditioned. They were heated. They were out of the wind and the rain and the snow. So people were looking for that. Remember, now we're trying to compete with cars, and that's what happened with trolleys. The trolleys, they were important in their time, but they were a lousy ride. And so people, as they started to get wealthy and started to drive cars, on their own schedule, not on the trolley schedule. They were able to get into their own car whenever they wanted to go to work, and then, you know, park and do their thing, pick up their friends. And that was part of the problem that we had with trolleys too. The jitney buses were coming out in the teens, and the jitney buses were going ahead of the trolleys during peak ridership time and stealing all the customers. So the trolley people, they just couldn't get a break. They were just losing money. The fees were low, the fares were low, and the ridership was just abandoning them left and right. Even the people that worked for the company were taking a car or taking a jitney. They wouldn't even take their own trolley to work and stuff, because people they're starting to come into money now in the teens and the early roaring 20s. So people had money to buy nice cars and do their thing. So, but one of the mistakes that we made in 1912, 13, 14, in that area, just before World War I, we were starting already to dissolve some of the trolley lines because cars were coming along. And what happened right then is World War I was coming, and there was the build-up for World War I that we eventually got into. And we had given up some of our infrastructure. So we came very close to not being able to get our workers to the factories and to the shipyards, because we were giving up our mass transit already and replacing it with cars. So we almost really shot ourselves in the foot, like really big time. It's kind of a play on words there with the war, and the same thing happened again in the late 30s. As the Depression hit in 1929, ridership dropped off again, investment dropped off, and people went back to the trolley. But then again, later on, people started riding again, so they started dropping the trolleys. In World War II, we almost made the same mistake again. We didn't have the trolley service up and running full force, so we didn't have enough way to get manpower into all the factories again. So history repeated itself, and they were serious mistakes. We came really close in World War I to not being able to participate in a big way. And these are just some of the different versions of the trolley bus. When we talk to most people in Nutley, they talk about they rode the trolley. This is what they rode on, you know, from the 40s, from 1937 to 47. This is what they were on. Again, down in Newark, just to show it, running through there. And this is the only picture, it's a screen graph from a movie that we're working on. This is in front of the junior high school, middle school, and this is a trolley bus going down. And if anybody has a scrapbook with a picture of a trolley bus in Nutley, we're looking for it. So this is over here. The oval would be on this side, the middle school, or I'm sorry, the oval's on this side, the middle school's on this side. Yeah, it would have been high school back then, exactly. Yes. And then this is just the sign some of you may have seen. John and I both have this. I brought mine tonight. This is just tied to his garage. But this is the bus stops that they had for the trolley buses. And we can see public service on there. We see people getting off on the sidewalk. We see the power poles up on top. So there was just a very visible thing for people to mark that. They had different ways of marking the stops for the trolleys. They would paint the poles white. They would put up lights, different ways that so the trolley knew where to stop. But I think that's the last screen on that one. So why don't you do, what we're going to do now is we have a little video. I'm going to bring that up, a YouTube video that's going to kind of bring everything we talked about. We're going to show you